I guess after all this, now's the chance for me to talk about my small contribution to the Miami bass thing. First off, none of it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for this lady right here, Vivian Walton, my mom. She always had my back. In fact, she introduced me to the first guy who helped me out with the DJ gig, Mighty Michael from WPOM. I had been offered a dance at my high school and didn't have no equipment, but took the gig anyway. So I called Mighty Michael, told him I'd give him the money, and he brought all his stuff, and I did it and blew it up. And that was kind of where the whole DJing thing started. But before all that, it was dancing. Just like you've heard everybody else say, I was a break dancer. It all started from break dancing, coming from New York, coming down here, digging the fast beats. When the breakdancing thing was phasing out, I was going to the Palace skating rink, and I was watching this guy DJ Red. He had 2 copies of It's Time, and he was backing it up. And in the 5 minutes I was watching him, I saw that the fader moved over this way, that was turntable. Fader moved over that way, that turntable. When he was scratching, I knew the fader was the thing. So I went home, started practicing on my dad's stereo, ripping up records. So by the time I actually got on some Technic 1200s, I was pretty good. I kind of compare it to like the Karate Kid with the wax on, wax off stuff. So from that, practiced every day after school, became pretty good at being a DJ. Started running into like-minded people. My partner in this documentary and the label, Cut It Up Def, Alex, we were in high school together, Forest Hill, 10th grade, talking about LL Cool J, Def Jam, and all that stuff. And when Cut It Up Def started, and I was just a DJ producer, we actually brought Alex in to do a record, Jump On It. And that was a fun record to do. And I was always more into the b-boy aspect of the bass. When it got into the booty element, I was kind of like, not really digging it. And I've always done hip-hop, and it's always been hip-hop to me, whether it's electro, whether it's Miami bass, whether it's drum and bass, dubstep, whatever you want to call it. Everybody likes to carve everything up into these different genres, but to me, it's hip-hop. It all comes from hip-hop. It all came from Africa Bambaataa, Planet Rock, excuse me.
Okay, picked up.
Kool Herc, the parties, and the breakdancing, and just the vibe of that. And it just spread throughout the world, and California had their own thing with it, and Miami had its own thing. So when I came down here, I kind of brought my New York element, just like the others, just like Prince Raheem and Cooley was from Baltimore, KJ was from New York. We all came down here, and we had that vibe up there. We kind of brought that down here and mixed it up with what was going on down here with the disco, the Pretty Tony, electro, and all that stuff. But so I'm DJing in high school, and Miami bass history might have been changed if not for this one key event. I actually was partnered up with a man named Juan Albello, who most of you might know as DJ Wiz from Boys from the Bottom, and we had a group called Mixmaster 2, and we were trying to be like Dynamix 2, like what Lon and Dave were doing, and so we were scratching, making beats and all that kind of stuff, and I would go to his house after school. And one day, his wife let me in. He wasn't in the studio, and I started messing around with the SP1200, and it was a thunderstorm, and lightning struck the house and fried the drum machine. And Wiz was cool about it, but needless to say, he went on with Danny D, and then I went with Cut It Up Def. But it was funny to see how it would have been different if that wouldn't have happened. So, Cut It Up Def. So I was a DJing, and I was at this DJ battle. It was this club that was pretty popular in West Palm Beach called the Fun House. But it was a teen club first, and it was called RJ's, and they were having a contest to see who was going to be the resident DJ. And so there was a battle. I was there. Jealous J was there. Exotic E, Eddie B, those guys might have been there. Frank Cola, Techno Scratch. I can't really remember, but I think some of those guys were there. These guys were battle DJs. They'd take 2 records and backspin and scratch the shit out of it for like 15 minutes, which was cool if it was like a DMC battle. But this was an actual contest to see who was going to be the club DJ. So I did some little bit of tricks, nothing like what the other guys were doing. Jimbo was always a lot better at the beat juggling turntable shit than me. I was more of just a straight up scratcher mixer. So Jimbo backspun It's Time for like 15 minutes. The crowd was like, yeah, all right, whatever. I went on and I threw like the Unknown DJ 808 beat acapella. Threw that on, and I had just got the acapella Rebel Without a Pause, Public Enemy. So I mixed those two together, and the place went crazy. And I ended up winning. It was in Palm Beach, and it was my hometown, so I'm sure that had something to do with it. But when I got off the stage, very angry young Puerto Rican man by the name of Johnny Torres ran up to me, uh, very irate that I had won because, according to him, Jimbo, aka Jealous J, was supposed to win, and the money was supposed to be used for their partying for that night. And so I guess I foiled their plans. And 15 minutes of yelling and arguing and being angry. 20 minutes later, he wanted me to be his DJ. So then I went to the satellite warehouse that Bob Smith was running. Met Gemini. Already knew Aaron and Johnny and Jimbo from that night at the contest, but met Gemini, met Bob, met his son, and I just liked the vibe of the people and what they wanted to do. They wanted to do some real stuff and gave us an opportunity. And I was brand new. Gemini was making the beats on the 808, and then him and Jimbo were doing the production, and I kind of got my way in there, and we started passing the drum machine around, and each of us learning how to do it. Me and Jimbo actually learned a lot together on the drum machine, and Cooley C, very influential, showing me how to do some stuff on the beats, as well as Wiz. Wiz showed me in the early stages. Cooley showed me some really cool tricks. And then me and Jimbo just experimented doing things. We had two SP1200s. We'd combine sounds, sample them together, and just do all kinds of crazy stuff. Me and Jimbo were always cool. We were always like, it was like friendly competition between me and him. We'd always want to try to do better. Like, he'd do something badass. I'd be like, man, that's bad. I gotta come better than that. So I'd go home, come up with something, come back like, how about this? And then Jimbo would be like, damn, that's pretty good. I gotta go back. So I think that's what was responsible for pushing Cut It Up Def to the level it was the fact that me and Jimbo were always trying to outdo each other a little bit. But it was all friendly. We were friends. We hung out, and I had great times with him. And he was the first to leave Cut It Up Def to go to Heatwave. And of course, at the camp, it was the same old thing. Oh, we can't hang with Jimbo no more. He's doing that. And I was like, well, whatever. Jimbo's my friend. He's not on the label with me. He's still my buddy. So even with the Heatwave stuff, I worked on some stuff with him. We still did shows, did Party Time. Well, that Party Time, that's the first record I ever rapped on, and me and Jimbo had made so many beats for these guys rapping that we were like, all right, how about you guys write us a rap, since we've done so much cuts and beats for you guys, write a rap for us so we could do it. So we didn't even write those lyrics. My boy Dean wrote those, and I remember memorizing and going in there. And from there, that's when I went from breakdancer, DJ, beat maker to MC.